Hi there, it's Karen Wolfe here. So I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about inflammation. So by now you would know that inflammation is the root cause of every chronic disease. And digestion, our digestive system, being the system that decides what stays in our body and what gets excreted, has a big impact on the level of inflammation of our body. Of course, if you have something like leaky gut, allowing substances into the body that we don't want there, that can set off an inflammatory reaction. So let's look at ways that we can reduce inflammation. And to do that, I am going to share my screen right here, and we're going to, oh no, not that. I'm sorry, that's my little PowerPoint. I am going to open up here. Okay, so in the functional medicine world, there are 4 different principles, and we've changed some of the names here a little bit, but to get an understanding of how to reduce inflammation, we're going to remove the substances that are potentially creating inflammation of the body. So what's inflammation? It's when the body considers something a foreign substance and the immune system goes in to attack it to dampen down the reaction. It's similar to when you get a cut on the outside of your body and the immune system to try and repair it. The same thing is happening on the inside of our body when there are substances, environmental substances, and we're going to talk about that specifically on this section, which substances to remove in order to reduce that attack on the immune system. And then we're going to look at how to replace certain lifestyle practices, re-inoculate the body with probiotics that are often deficient. Our microbiome needs more diversity because of our lifestyle, and then reset the body. So right now we're just going to look at what should we remove, and this comes straight from the beautiful ebook Gut Matters. So let's look at the substances. First of all, we should consider removing. Now, I say consider because I believe in moderation, and information is power. And then what we do is baby steps to try and reduce those things that are possible now, like model where we would say, well, which one of these are you willing to reduce right now? And practice that. You've got to do it all at once. So top of the list is sugar. So sugar, and why sugar are refined sugars that do spike the blood sugar. And then what happens when you spike blood sugar, you also spike insulin, and insulin is very pro-inflammatory to the body. So reducing as much as possible added sugars. Now that is really not that hard when you start to think about whole foods in your diet, WHOLE, vegetables and lean, healthy proteins and healthy fruits, and get rid of the crisps and the pasta and the popcorn and the bread. So certainly when you are wanting to specifically reduce inflammation, reducing added sugars, right there on top of the list. The other one is gluten. Yes, a lot of gluten has been modified. So having a gluten-free diet as much as possible would be super helpful. There's my little puppy dog saying hi. Let me introduce you. Please say hi to her. Okay, she join me for our little conversation here. Yes, this is Jeannie. So going gluten-free can be very difficult, and also it's not necessarily the healthiest, because if you see in the supermarket, there are a lot of gluten-free foods and they're very high in sugar. So don't just assume that gluten-free means healthy, but reducing gluten as much as possible by choosing gluten-free alternatives to the healthy foods that you're eating. Reducing wheat, reducing dairy. A lot of people have a sensitivity to dairy. Reducing alcohol, caffeine. Now, a cup of coffee can certainly be healthy for a lot of people, but excess caffeine is not necessarily healthy. Processed foods. So it seems obvious, and you know, a lot of this is really common sense. Processed means something has been processed. It's not as nature intended it. So those boils and those canned soups, these have been processed. And in the processing process, there are chemicals that have been added. And those chemicals the body doesn't like and can exert an immune response to. So, and being really practical, eat as nature intended, eat as close to whole food as possible. Get rid of the cereals out of your cupboard, is what I always say to people. Refined white foods, which we talked about, the white things like white bread, rice, white spaghetti. Now, cauliflower, by the way, does not count as a bad white food. Cauliflower is a fabulous food, and I use cauliflower in so many things. Cauliflower rice, cauliflower pizza crust, cauliflower mashed potatoes, and GMO, reducing as much as possible genetically modified foods, because in the chemical genetic modification, the body can exert a immune response, a food that the body doesn't recognize as natural. It's being chemically. Now, this number 10 is a big one. You know those little cupcakes that the kids have? It's got the blue icing and the red icing and the pink icing. The coloring that makes the thing so colorful, Jeannie, yes, is bad for you. Have put it on the list of foods to completely avoid those colorings. So as much as possible, preservative coloring additives to remove. Fried foods, so that doesn't probably surprise you that we're going to remove fried foods. And the other thing that people don't often realize is the skin is the largest part of the body. And what we put on our skin gets absorbed into our internal body. In fact, in pharmaceuticals, we often use skin patches for a route of administration of a medication to avoid it going through the liver. So what you put on your skin gets absorbed into the cells of our body. So what skincare are you using? What chemicals are you adding to your body that then it could potentially exert an immune response? So consider really looking and questioning all your body care products, shampoo, conditioner, shower gel, facial creams, makeup, all of these things keep adding to our overall toxic load. I'm about to go to Sonavie for a health and education retreat, which is a complete detoxification environment. We even wear cotton clothes that they provide every day just so our body can breathe and detox. And they provide toxin-free shampoo, conditioner, gel, fluoride-free toothpaste, and they tell us not to wear any makeup. I use the Celavive skincare line because it is an amazingly clean skincare line. So I hope something in here that you've learned that you could say, oh, okay, this is what I need to do. I'm going to take these steps first. So maybe it's go into your and removing anything that comes in a can or a box, and thinking of that mantra, is this as nature intended it when you're going to eat? What do you think of that, Jeannie? So I hope this has been helpful to you, and stay tuned for lots of great information to come. So I'm going to switch this off now. Okay. And thank you for joining us. Yes.